3, warm-ups and cool-downs. Warming up the voice prior to singing is equally important to stretching and warming up your muscles before any other physical activity that requires stamina, control and coordination of various muscle groups. Vocal warm-ups commonly consist of a series of specifically tailored vocal exercises that gently stretch and limber up the vocal cords and surrounding muscles. They also increase blood flow to the vocal apparatus and prepare the voice for a more intense workout. Your warm-up should usually last anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes and sometimes longer if you're preparing to go on stage or sing for a more lengthy period of time. Now, most singers who are just starting out may not consider singing to be a sport, but if we compare it to athletics, the fundamental physical requirements are not much different. Because we're making music and feeling emotional connection to sounds, etc., we can often forget that singing is a physical exercise. But think of an athlete going out onto the track or onto the ground without warming up and stretching their body. Generally, the risk is much higher of them straining their muscles. The same thing can happen to your vocal cords and the surrounding muscles. Because of the fatigue and wear caused by the strain and pressure that singing without warming up places on your voice, you can find yourself becoming prone to huskiness or even you losing your voice periodically. You may find that you often have a sore throat or an irritating ache in your throat. In a worst case scenario, you could find that your vocal cords are damaged, which may require therapy, or you may even need to go through operations to remove nodules or vocal polyps, which are like little calluses on the edges of your vocal cords. I'm not saying that, this to scare you at all, but I just want you to know that these sorts of things can be easily avoided when you put the health of your voice before the emotional pleasure of belting out a tune without a warm-up, simply by implementing healthy vocal techniques. I remember when I first started singing and I was doing about 3 musicals a year with a local theatre company. At that time I was singing entirely on my throat, which means I was using my neck muscles to push the sound out of my body. And amongst the many other problems this was causing for me, I found that I was getting tonsillitis around 2 to 3 times a year, simply because of the rawness of my vocal cords and muscles, which was an open invitation for viruses and infections. It wasn't fun, let me tell you. Now, even though I was using poor vocal technique, I could have helped myself even a little if I'd warmed up my voice gently and effectively. And that's one thing I'd like to pass on here. Often when you're part of a singing group and it's time to do some vocal warm-ups, it's easy to get caught up in the fun of it or in the temptation to out-sing the person next to you. Unfortunately, some inexperienced conductors and directors often ask the singers to belt it out for me without realising the damage they're causing these singers to do to their voices. So if you're part of a group of singers, be aware that a warm-up is the most important time in the whole of your performance or rehearsal, and it's an activity that requires extra care and respect for your vocal apparatus. If you're part of a singing group whose leader is possibly asking too much of people's voices, without giving them instructions on how to do it safely, maybe you could consider having a private conversation with them, when the time is right of course, and offering them some warm-up suggestions that you consider to be of more value to both the singers around you and, in the long run, to the quality of singing that your group offers to its audiences.